What's up, Bug Dug with Deanie in the garage. Today we are going to be talking about cold air intakes. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to talk about what do you need to consider before you put a cold air intake on your vehicle. What do you need to do when you're shopping for a cold air intake? And at what point is a cold air intake doing more harm than good? All right, friends, now the first thing you need to understand about a cold air intake is that while it is a bolt-on mod, it is not the kind of mod that's going to make a huge difference in the actual drivability of your vehicle. Why do most people like cold air intakes? Because they make your vehicle sound better. Plain and simple. You throw a cold air intake on there, and when you hit the gas, you hear a nice little womp, womp. All right, now for the most part, and in a lot of applications, that extra bit of sound is the only thing that a cold air intake is actually going to change on your vehicle. Why? Because look at all this. Believe it or not, the engineers who designed your vehicle, they did kind of know what they were going. And I know right now some career technicians are laughing at me, but in the grand scheme of things, this whole mess of intake stuff and pipes and this and torque box and crap, I mean, they put at least a little thought into the darn thing. And me, with nothing but a $20 gift certificate and a half hour to spend at AutoZone shopping off the shelf for friggin' cone filters and collections of other crap, I'm not probably going to be able to come up with something better, is the point I'm getting at here. So the first thing you need to consider is, do I have the time and, more importantly, the resources to do the cold air intake properly? All right, if the answer is no, I got 20 bucks and a half hour to spend at AutoZone, maybe don't bother. Now, why am I doing a cold air intake on mine today? Is it because this Jeep is such a high performance piece of American muscle that it just has to have a cold air intake on it? No, I had a bad alternator. Funny story. So I had a bad alternator. You can see I got a nice shiny new one. I actually have a video. This is a 250. No, this is a 100. What is this? This Jeep here, this 4.7 liter, came with a 136 amp. We upgraded to the 160 amp. If you're interested in that, I'll leave a link up in the corner. But here's how the story goes. My alternator was bad, so it wouldn't be charging. And so I'd come out here and I'd take my hickory stick and it would start working again. Well, the other day I was hitting a little too hard and I missed. And I took a big chunk out of my airbox there. So I could go to the junkyard. I could probably spend, I don't know, $30 or $40 on a new to me, intake, but I happen to have a box of cold air intake parts from Eric. This is actually a K&N drop-in panel filter for this Jeep, but this is the K&N pipe that goes with the 99 to 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee WJ with the 4.7 liter. Eric's brother had one of these. He had an 04 Limited, I think it was. And so a while ago he gave me this, and it's just been sitting there. And I wasn't really going to put it on because I'm not really, this Jeep isn't that kind of build, but it seemed awfully silly to go ahead and buy all the new parts when I had intake parts sitting there. Besides, this little hole right there has been enough to give me that ball when I'm taking off from the stoplights, and I'm not going to lie to you, I like it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this off, and that's going to help me illustrate a few things to you guys. The very first thing you need to identify when you are trying to decide, should I, could I, would I put a cold air intake on my vehicle, is you need to determine what sensors or other electronic equipment, oh my goodness, about to throw my pliers in there, is located on my intake. Now, a lot of vehicles have like a mass airflow sensor. So here's the whole kit and caboodle, right? This is the top to the airbox. There's no electronics there. This is this hose here. Now, on a lot of vehicles, like Chevy Vortec 5.3s, you got the pipe coming off here. Obviously, they're situated a little different, but right here is a mass airflow sensor. Now, if you put an Christmas amateur hour. If you put a mass airflow sensor, what am I trying to say here? If you put a cold air intake here, all right, you take all this crap, you throw that out, wing this guy out, and there was a mass airflow sensor here, and all of a sudden you replace it with a hard pipe. There's no place for mass airflow sensor there. The point is, and you see it all the time, and it's always 18-year-olds. I did it when I was 18. Eric did it when he was 18. You did it when you were 18. The executive producer is going to do it when she's 18. You don't think about that. You're like, oh, mass airflow, that sounds like an unnecessary part. Let's just lose that. And so you do. You lose it. I did it. I had my very first car was a Hyundai Elantra, and anything that I didn't know what it was, I sort of just unplugged it and tucked it in so I didn't have to look at it. Needless to say, until I figured out I needed that mass airflow sensor, that Hyundai Elantra didn't roll so great. All right, so once you've determined whether or not there's any electronics on, the next thing you need to figure out is what needs to be removed for me to add a cold air intake. Now certainly, the air box is gonna come out because the whole point of a cold air filtration system is that you're getting rid of this whole stock setup. So that's gotta come out, done and done. All right. Now, I suppose if you were over at the advanced O'Reilly's with Grandma's credit card trying to put one of these together, you could probably leave this torque box in place. But for a true cold air intake, you really want to get as much out of the way and get as close to the throttle body. Did I just break something else? As close to the throttle body, of course not, as you can. So without this torque box on, as you can see, we are now all the way down to that throttle body. Alrighty friends, I did a little video, actually I've done a couple videos on this, on throttle body sensors that goes more in depth. I'll link that up in the corner, and I also did a video recently on cleaning this throttle body, this exact one. But if you have not cleaned your throttle body recently, you should absolutely do that while you're doing this process. Cleaning your throttle body and any throttle body sensors that can be cleaned will go a long way with your miles per gallon, your overall power, your throttle response, and your general health of the engine. So, I said the next thing we were going to talk about was whether or not the air you were getting was actually colder than stock. And this is the biggest problem with cold air intakes. Alrighty friends, what temperature do most engines operate at? Like 200 degrees, right? Can we agree? Just as a nice basic number. Some temperatures in here will get much hotter, but this whole engine compartment, from the firewall to the front grille, from that fender to that fender, it's warm in this whole area. In fact, I've done videos where I cooked chicken in an engine compartment because that's totally possible. Now, the goal here is to get fuel and air into here that is not pre-warmed by the fact that you got manifolds in here, your radiators up there, providing a lot of heat. So you need to pull air from somewhere outside of this engine compartment. And this is where people make the big mistake, because what do? You pull out all this crap. You go down to advanced, you get a Spectre filter, which this may or may not be. No, this is an actual K&N filter Eric's got there. No kidding, bud. K&N all the way, fancy. I know Eric didn't buy this. His brother bought this because Eric's too cheap to be buying K&N. Shouldn't be making fun of the guy who just gave me a cold air intake, but oh well. What was I saying? You buy your Spectre thing, and you buy 18 inches of pipe, and what do? You hang the thing right here, right? Now that's great for the sound. This will absolutely sound amazing because instead of having the intake air muffled by, again, all of this crap, it's just a straight shot and you're reverberating around what's probably an aluminum pipe and stuff. But all you're doing is pulling super hot air from like right here. The air you're pulling in is probably 200 degrees, if not more. So what you need to do is find a way to pull air from outside. Now you could go through the hood, that has its own problems, but what you mostly see people doing is trying to route this to a place where the air is cooler. Now you're gonna have to go forward and you're gonna have to go down to get to cooler air. All right, if you go backward and or up, you're just going to get to hotter air again, unless you go through the hood, but that's another story. Now, you'll notice the stock schnoozle, this is a schnoozle, that's the official term. This is the stock schnoozle. Now, what this schnoozle does, when this thing, I jumped the gun, I shouldn't have put that thing in here. This schnoozle attaches to this air box. See, this plugs in right there. Oh, snaps right in. And then give it back. I said give it back. And then this schnoozle also routes itself. Oh, right there. That's how it sits normally. Okay? So what you're doing, ignore the Christmas lights. I'm going to explain what they're for at the end. You can't see in there, but essentially what this schnoozle allows your intake to do is pull air from in front of the radiator and also at the top of the engine compartment. So the air that your WJ is getting, whether it's a 4-liter or 4.7, is already pretty darn cool. I mean, that's pretty good. So what you need to do if you're gonna make this better, and listen, if you're doing this just for the sound, that's fine. I wouldn't recommend admitting that to anybody because you kind of sound like an inbred, but listen, man, I've been there. It sounds cool. I'm looking forward to driving this thing tomorrow. It's not gonna, whatever. I digress. The point is, find your way to get yourself forward and up, and you just might be able to get some cool air. Here's some hints. In front of the radiator, like this schnoozle, all right? In the wheel wells, on a lot of vehicles, depending on what their geometry is, there'll be an inner fender here, and then this is obviously your outer fender, but you can actually cut a hole through the inner fender and start pulling air from in here. That, depending, again, on your vehicle and your geometry, can be a good idea. Or you can go the professional route. Now, K&N is a reputable company. Are they overpriced? Yeah, probably. Is everything they sell awesome? No, definitely not. But if you're buying a filtration kit from K&N, there's a very good chance that it's complete, and there's a very good chance that it's actually going to do what it says it's going to do. You know, pull cold air. It's got a walkway, a hallway, staring right down that grill insert there. So the idea here, now whether or not it actually accomplishes this, we can argue about in the comments until Judgment Day. But the idea here is you get your intake air popping through here, it zooms into here, and then obviously this pipe is schnoozling right there, and you got your dangle hanging right there. And the idea here, the hood is going to kind of seal against the top of this, and you've made, it's not airtight, but it's segregated air being fed from your grill, which is cold, atmospheric air. Now, another thing to consider is potentially application. Now, here I'm going to get a little bit into the weeds. We're going to talk about it quick, and then we're going to get out of here. Now, at this point, you probably want to take into consideration what the application of your vehicle is. Is it a daily driver? Is it an off-roader? Is it a tow rig? Is it a drag racer? Is it a drift car? And you need to identify the individual challenges of that application. A great example of this is a snorkel. I did a video a little bit ago, the most useless 4x4 mods you can do to a vehicle. And I put a snorkel on there because I live in the Northeast, almost said Northwest. I live in the Northeast. It's all trail riding, woods riding, mudding. Nobody needs a snorkel around here. We're not fording water. And I got a lot of people from like Arizona and Australia, Baja California, like, you're an idiot, man. Snorkel's the very first thing you do around here. It's basically a cold air intake, but it's up so high it avoids all the dust of the desert. So if you are putting one of these in a vehicle for, say, desert use, you may not want it feeding right from this grill slat. There's a very good chance that all you're going to be doing is sucking down sand. You know, like a toddler at the Jersey Shore. So what I'm going to do, let me throw this guy on. We'll see how she sounds. We'll close this video up, and you guys can get out of here, ignore everything I said, and go buy yourself a Spectre cold air intake out down at the AutoZone. All right, friends, final thought to consider here is flow. Now, you may have noticed what we're really getting at here is I'm asking you to use common sense. I think a lot of times with car mods, we take stuff at face value because we want to. This muffler will give you 10 horsepower. And you go off and tell your friend, this muffler's going to give me 10 horsepower. And you look like friggin' Lenny talking about petting the rabbits. The fact of the matter is a lot of the stuff that they sell is just crap. All right? I've actually seen some really bad cold air intakes. We did a video, I don't know, 2 years ago about a picture somebody sent me where they had that expanding kind of accordion stuff, and it came up and it bent at like 120-degree angle and then came down. I will leave a link to that video. In that video, I kind of just badmouthed cold air intakes, and here I am putting one on. The point is, they have their place, they have use. You got to use some common sense. Now, flow, like I was talking about, if you buy a whole unit like this, I don't remember how much this is new. I will find it on Amazon. I'll link the exact one I have. If you have a Jeep or a Dodge and you want to get the same one, bully to you. All right, but if you're making your own, which is honestly what a lot of people do, this is actually the first K&N cold air intake I've ever had. I've always made my own. You want to make sure you're making it better. Now, I'm confident that I've at least made things the same as they were, if not potentially a little better. I may have removed some restriction. All right, now what I did, you'll notice I got this teeny tiny Spectre filter on there. That's because this one's hooped. This one's totally screwed. It must have been sitting down. If I had to guess, it was sitting like this, and it was making contact with something. Now, not only is that not going to filter, because the filter material is all shot away, but it's probably not going to flow terribly well. So I threw this one on here now because I need to be able to move this out of the garage, and I didn't really want to put this one on at all. It's pretty bad, which is a bummer because this is the actual K&N one. This is a Spectre one. It's actually my brother-in-law's. He left here. This was supposed to go on a Subaru, so needless to say, it's not really meant for a 4.7 liter V8. But we're just going to use this to get out of the garage. But this would be a great example of a setup that had good potential, and then you missed at the very last moment. And 18-year-old me would not have known why this filter doesn't work. I wouldn't have. I'm not embarrassed to tell you that. It is what it is. We all do it. 18-year-old me would have thrown this one on. I would have hid that down at the bottom. I never would have thought about it again. But the fact of the matter is I want to make things better here, not worse. So that's really all there is to it, right? I like it. Should we hear how she sounds? Even though we don't have this PCV, that'll be all right. I won't tell if you won't. Let's hear how she sounds. Put this over here. You like my Christmas lights? If you didn't see the video where I decorated the Jeep, well, we're going to talk about that at the end. All right. Now, without further ado. Now you can hear that sucking right here. I don't know if it's going to show up on the video, but that's the sound that is desirable with a cold air intake. Alright friends, that is all there is to it. There is nothing more polarizing in the automotive community than cold air intakes. Why? Because we all know that they're probably not the best idea, but we've all got a few in our past, right? We've all thrown one on grandma's 98 Civic DX and considered it better. A great example is my dad's actually not a car guy. Very handy person, but he's a woodworker. I've been through this a million times on the channel, but I had a Ford Ranger with a 4-cylinder in it, and I put a cold air intake on it because I was young and dumb. I don't remember what exactly happened, but I was out of the state for a while. My dad was driving my truck. I think he broke the intake. I don't know. Long story short, he ended up putting it back together with stovepipe and drywall screws. My friends got a kick out of that one, but that is an example of when good cold air intakes go bad. So I'd love to know, what's the worst cold air intake you ever put on one Christmas? Amateur, get your stuff together here. But what's the worst cold air intake you ever put on something? What did you put it on? I'd love to hear all about it. How did you finally realize, oh wow, that's way worse? And what cold air intakes do you like? I'd love to hear some suggestions down there. Let's help people instead of just making fun of them for making bad choices. So K&N, I'm here to tell you, yeah, it's pricey, and it's probably not worth every dime of the purchase price, but it's good stuff. You know you're getting good stuff when you get K&N. It's tested, it's proven, it's trusted. So let me comment down there in the squawk boxes if you like the video. That's common sense. Now, real quick, let's talk about the lights on my Jeep. I put up a video a couple days ago of me decorating this Jeep. I will link that up in the corner if you're interested. The reason this is decorated, obviously, it's December, it's holiday season, not just Christmas season. It's Hanukkah season, it's Kwanzaa season, it's Festivus season, it's Yule season. My good buddy up there prepping, are you in Minnesota? He's a ZJ guy. One of my dudes, been with me from the beginning. He was telling me just this morning on one of them videos, I don't celebrate no Christmas, I celebrate Yule, which is an old pagan holiday that got Christianized in the German, whatever. I'm a little German, so I'm gonna celebrate me some Yule. I'm way off on a tangent now. My Jeep is decorated because of the 2021 D&E Holiday Hooptieathon. That's right. Send me a video or pictures of your vehicle decorated for your holiday of choice: Christmas, Hanukkah, Yule, Festivus. I don't give a darn. Here's a Festivus one. Some of you boys with them diesels with the big stacks coming out the back, you see where I'm going with this. You got the Festivus pole all ready to go. Send me some pictures, send me a video. Send them to my email address, dneoffroad@gmail.com. That's down below. And put Holiday Hoopty in the subject. On the 25th of December, I'm going to release a video with all the entrants. All that week, we're going to vote. And on New Year's Day, I'm going to release the winner. And the winner's going to win a collection of tools out of this bag here. Well, what bag is this? This is my Amazon tool bag. A couple months ago, actually about a year ago now, did this around Christmas time last year. Eric and I went on Amazon. We each took, I think, $150. And we bought the tools to make what we consider to be our ultimate Amazon toolbox. I'll link those videos somewhere, leave them down in the description. Some of the tools have been claimed out of there. We've needed them for ourselves, but we're going to give away a collection of those tools to the winner of the Holiday Hooptieathon as voted on by you guys. So please, if you want to win, I'm definitely giving this away. This is that Crescent set. Y'all may remember And even though it's gonna break my heart, I wanted this so bad. I promised I'd give this one away. It's the gear wrench micro driver set. It's a little dusty from sitting in the garage all year, but this is a come up right here. This is an awesome little set. It's taken everything in me to not use it. I didn't want to make this video 9 years long. So without further ado, watch the video about the holiday hooptieathon. Go decorate your vehicle for your holiday of choice. Email me your entrance. It can be a video of you walking around or talking about it or shouting out grandma. I don't really give a darn. Or pictures. Leave me that subject, holiday hooptieathon. 25th, you get the whole thing. So without further ado, as always, thanks for watching. See you next time. I need to go to the store and get the right filter for this thing. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big fan of driving around. I got my Copilot, inflatable Copilot.